there any way to give a Pokemon a wheel? Well, I mean, there are no animals with wheels because biologically speaking, they wouldn't work. So it would have to be an inanimate object Pokemon, like a possessed car, maybe a rock elemental. Oh, I know, Minecraft is all the rage with the kids. Let's make a minecart Pokemon. Somebody give this man a raise! Steam engines are truly the heart of humanity's industries and advancements. It holds the flame of our past advancements and holds the gas that will light our future. I mean, even nuclear power plants are just steam engines when you really get down to it. Yeah, we use the radioactive material to boil water, which then creates steam. The steam rises up and spins the turbine, generating electricity. This is why the smoke coming from nuclear towers is white. It's not smoke, it's just steam. That's not pollution at all. And it is also the inspiration for Galarian wheezing, interestingly enough. It's why it's not poison type, but cleanly fairy instead. Whole video about it here. Though, of course, that's not to say that nuclear power plants are completely clean. Nuclear waste is a thing, but nuclear plants are still the cleanest source of reliable energy that we have that also happens to meet our energy requirements. It's the safest too. People are just scared of it because when something does go wrong, it's a catastrophe that gets all over the news. It's just like how flying in planes is technically the safest method of travel, but people are scared of flying because when something does go wrong, it's a catastrophe and it's all over the news. Anyway, that is a total tangent. I haven't even mentioned the main Pokemon of the day yet. This is a video about Coalossal. So what is Rolycoly? What is Coalossal? And what is Carkol besides the worst design of the generation? Are they living coal and steam engines and a kaiju? The coal part makes sense because it's what it is, like literally. And it's quite fitting of the region. Galar, it's Pokemon Britain, the place famous for the Industrial Revolution and black skies made from factories. So that's for sure an inspiration and the reason why it's here, but there is possibly a somewhat deeper thing going on too. So let's dig right on in. Where's this awesome music coming from? It's so crisp. Oh! It's coming from today's sponsor, the Commuter 2 from Cove Audio. These are Bluetooth speakers that play music for 7 hours per charge and from up to 30 feet away. Now, the clever among you will notice that I said speakers, not speaker, right? That's because, get this, it's a 2-in-1. Now you can easily fill a room with 360 audio, or put them on both sides of your desk or bed for some immersive stereo. Have one close and one really, really far for some reason. I don't know, maybe that's how you like your music. By the way, the subs on these are nice and double as these cool lights that go to the music. And these things get loud. Awesome! But not as awesome as this coupon code LOCK60. For a limited time, you can get over 60% off. It's quite the deal for quite the unique Bluetooth speaker dual stereo thingy. Awesome bang for the buck. So check it out by clicking the link in the description, and again, be sure to use coupon code LOCK60 to claim this deal. Thanks a million again. Let's first look at Rolycoly. People at first like to think of it as a little rock on a wheel, because, I mean, it is. But there's so much more. The history of this Pokemon goes back, way back, like the Romans back. Like the Romans are still roaming and around. And here I thought Phalanx was the only Roman Pokemon. Rolycoly, it's pulling things from all over the place, like the Pillbug. Because Pillbugs also have a slang name, some call them Roly-Polies. And this Pokemon is also a reference to a dessert, the British Roly-Poly. Wow. Anyway, the very first steam engine was the Aeolipile, invented sometime in the 1st century, and it looked like this. It was basically just a ball that spun around. Sort of like Rolycoly, I guess. Well, yeah, I said that right. But now, you might be asking yourself, if the Romans invented a steam engine, then why didn't they start the Industrial Revolution all the way back then? And the answer is slaves. I mean, that's not fully it, but it's a big factor. You see, steam engines required a chemical reaction to boil water and create steam. The best and most effective chemical reaction the Romans had at the time was wood, sometimes doused in torch oil. And so, with this level of tech, using a steam engine for help with construction or transport would have been a massively expensive undertaking, both with money and time. It was just so much quicker and cheaper to have slaves do it. So basically, nobody really got around into advancing the steam engine beyond the Aeolipile's original intent, as a novelty item, a miniature wonder. A few centuries later, some rudimentary coal mining would start up though, and it was mainly used for furnaces, as charcoal, essentially. And this is why, out of all of its evolutions, Rolycoly is only rudimentary coal. The kind of coal that you find near the surface, like the coal that you find in Minecraft. Rolycoly is simple, just like the first uses of coal, and like the first steam engine. Simple. It works out, as the first time their temperature is explained is in its evolution, and it's stated to be 1,800 degrees, about as hot as a campfire. It's simple burning. And while we're in the Pokedex, Rolycoly's dex mentions that it was discovered 400 years ago, so, you know, just before the Industrial Revolution started. Yeah. Next is Carkol. Ugh. It's a minecart, but thankfully it's not just that. See, Rolycoly represents our early interactions with steam engines. Nothing big, it's basically just a toy. But Carkol is us finally realizing the power we have combining steam engines with coal. This is why Carkol isn't just coal itself, rather it carries actual coal on its back. After all, this whole line has to burn coal to survive themselves, and Carkol clearly needs more of it than Rolycoly. That's why it has so much of it with it. It's scaling up and needing more fuel to fulfill itself, just like in real life. Carkol represents us trying new things with steam engines, such as engines, train cars, powerful things that go, powered minecarts, factory machines they do this. And next is Coalossal, this train monster thing. But really, that shape on its face, it's a pilot, or a cow plow, the things that are at the front of locomotives, especially older ones, and also the mismatched shoulder spike thingies. Old steam trains had varying height smokestacks like this, so it's a train monster. While plenty of people were disappointed that we didn't get a literal train Pokemon, I for one am happy with this monster with train elements that we got instead. It's much more believable than literally a train with eyes, like come on. Because that's what Pokemon needs. Believability. Honestly, Carkol is down there with Ambipom and Crabominable in my least favorite designs category. Coalossal represents us going full on into the Industrial Revolution, or perhaps rather, the damage that it did. The coal on its back has increased greatly, just like how our need for coal grew monstrously, hence it being a monster like this, basically a kaiju, which actually works out perfectly. As a riding device, kaijus are giant beasts riders use to embody hard-to-imagine concepts. I mean, these days the simpler ones are just big monster fight robot, go boom! But originally it was a lot deeper than that. The famous example, of course, being the very first Godzilla movie. See, the original movie was actually about nuclear bomb testing. Not long before the movie was made, the US tested nuclear weapons at Bikini Atoll in the late 1940s and early 1950s. The effects of which, of course, made their way to Japan. This, of course, began a huge conversation on how dangerous nuclear weapons and nuclear power are, and what their effects on nature might be. Is it all worth it? This conversation was especially happening in Japan because they knew firsthand the catastrophic effects of these things. So obviously they were very wary. So they made a movie about this. Godzilla, a kaiju that represents nuclear power and the damage it is capable of. As well as, along with many other kaijus, the destructive power of nature's wrath. Nature getting revenge for the destruction man has caused. Hurricanes are scary enough, but to personify their destructive force is to form a kaiju. Coalossal, then, is an embodiment of coal and the Industrial Revolution. It can be good and has its positives as a stepping stone for mankind, as we see in Coalossal being a calm and peaceful Pokemon normally, though it is mentioned that it destroys trespassers when they damage mines. Speaking of its destructive force, let's talk about some real Godzilla-level carnage. Gigantamax Coalossal is a monstrous coal power plant. I mean, heck, Coalossal's name in Japanese comes from coal and mountain coal mine. It's the whole dang mountain coming to fight you now. And it seems like the pile itself has changed a bit too. More than in just size, because obviously it's bigger, but like the rest of the line, it seems to have changed what sort of coal it is. The rest of the line seem to be based on bituminous or lignite coal, whereas the coal on Coalossal seems to be anthracite. I mean, its name in French even references anthracite directly. And this makes sense evolutionarily too. Anthracite is the hardest form of coal, and it has the highest energy density. And on top of all this, it produces less smoke. During the American Civil War, the Confederacy used anthracite for their boats because it created less smoke, which meant that their boats couldn't be spotted as easily from a distance. And more evidence of it being anthracite would have to be its shiny coloring. All the black turns to blue, referencing the fact that when anthracite is even more pure, it turns bluish. There's even a brand of anthracite coal that is called blue coal. After that, it was used for trains because it used less smoke. It allowed regular people to travel on trains without the drawback of being absolutely coated in black. And anyway, similarly to how Godzilla is a kaiju inspired primarily by a single destructive event, so too is Coalossal. Beyond just the whole the Industrial Revolution in a monster. Gigantamax Coalossal is a reference to one of the biggest man-made natural disasters ever to hit the United Kingdom. Its very Pokedex entry states that when Galar was hit by a harsh cold wave, this Pokemon served as a giant heating stove and saved many lives, which also points to anthracite being the coal on its back now. You see, in 1963, Britain was hit by a nasty winter. Because of all the smog in the air created by pollution, a cold front was trapped over the UK, creating one of the worst winters in UK history. This winter buried cars and killed hundreds. It snowed so many people in, and had many more damaging effects. Pipes under the cities and towns burst, not only reducing if not stopping water pressure, but some even leaked gas. Suddenly, many homes no longer had gas heating in the middle of the worst winter, and worse still, gas leaked into some homes, silently killing many more. People had to rely on wood and coal burning for warmth, but soon enough, the coal vendors ran out of their common coal, and so, for the sake of survival, they had to sell the more industrial anthracite, often at a loss. It wasn't as effective, but it was the only thing outside of wood that people had to warm themselves and survive. So similarly, Gigantamax Coalossal helped the people of Galar survive a harsh cold front with its anthracite coal, and perhaps is also a kaiju beast that represents this very disaster caused by smog. Kaijus are not inherently villains and can be heroes too, like Godzilla in the later movies, and likewise as the Colossus that is Gigantamax Coalossal. Thanks for watching, and until next time, never stop using your noggin.
What are you doing there?
Stereotyping.
Oh my god.